Thank you everyone for coming today. Kind of a big kickoff today for the FEMA Seismic work that we're going to be doing here starting in about a week. So the goal and objectives for today is just kind of walk through all the requirements that are tied into what the FEMA grant is all about. So all the kind of nuts and bolts, T's that are going to need to be crossed, I's that will be needed to be dotted, and just overall flow. So I thought I'm just going to take you all through process here, just kind of giving you some background as we go through, and give you a little bit of the historical perspective, and then we'll dive into all the requirements. So who are the players involved in all the work here, and how did we get to the point where we're at today? So FEMA has got dollars that they have basically made available in this process through what's called pre-disaster mitigation funds. And so that's where the overall funding is coming for this. And so the way that the chain of command works on this is FEMA's got the money. That money goes from FEMA down to Oregon State Emergency Management. From State Emergency Management, it flows to Portland Bureau of Emergency Management. And then from there, it flows into Inhabit for the kind of management, and our role as the sub-grantees of this. So we're managing it for Portland Bureau of Emergency Management, and you all are executing on it. So there's the kind of chain of command and how it all works, and who the main players are for it. But the important parts here to know, when you're going into homeowners' houses, how did this all come about? Commissioner Steve Novick is the one that was the driving force for this. You all have seen him just in the press pieces that we've put out, and heard what he's been trying to accomplish. I got kind of just what was his quote was taking one bite at a time out of an elephant in order to solve this overall problem. And so he's been the kind of catalyst behind getting the FEMA funding behind this. So a year ago, we did this a pilot on this, same FEMA funds. We only did 23 homes. And not all of you were involved in that portion of the work. There were only 2 contractors involved in that work. And so it's really nice to have a much larger mix. So everyone is clear, there are 6 contractors participating in this. And you are the only 6 contractors that are vetted and available to do the work. Any questions with who the players are? Make sense? So this is kind of the piece you all have been out in the field talking to homeowners about, kind of why are we doing all this? So, community resilience is what Commissioner Novick is talking about. We've learned from events like Hurricane Katrina and Sandy that once homeowners are displaced from their homes, they don't come back. So the work that you all are doing is in an effort to keep people in their homes. And so what are the kind of main things that we've seen in events like Katrina and Sandy? We've seen, loss of life. We've seen economic instability, health issues, energy distribution disruption, and in particular, we've seen some equity issues involved in those natural events. So we're trying to mitigate those things in what we're doing. So it's a national problem, right? But this whole coast where we live is where the bulk of everything is focused. That's where FEMA's pre-disaster dollars are going for this. Pre-disaster dollars are also used in Hurricane Alley to build safe rooms for homeowners. And so the dollars are deployed in a very similar way to what we're doing. It's pretty new for FEMA to be spending dollars on the front end of things before a natural disaster were to occur. So you all are kind of paving the ground for the future of how FEMA may spend more money. So if you all remember this article, this is what drummed up something like 4,000 plus interested homeowners that you all are still actively working with. And that article, along with Commissioner Novick's press event with us, talking about past FEMA work and some of the things that we were going to be doing with the new FEMA dollars, going after those new dollars, is what really drove the demand for all of this. So here's the facts out of that, or just kind of boiling it down to the simple science here. Roughly 300 years ago, there was a megathrust earthquake in our region. We're well overdue for that. And so that's what's got everyone freaked out and scared. So that's what you all are talking about in homes and trying to help ease homeowners' fears about. So why prepare? Here's some good stats. If any of you haven't spent any time looking at the City of Portland's natural hazard mitigation plan, here's some stats just pulled out of that plan that are relevant to all of you. The big concern really is not the single family house in the City of Portland, but it's the unreinforced masonry buildings. So those are the buildings that are going to be just lost without, something major done. And so it's not our focus, it's not where we're spending our money, but it's interesting to see, what the numbers kind of look like from that perspective. So, Portland has quite a few unreinforced masonry buildings. So when we kind of go down through the numbers here and we look at things, the housing supply here, 250 total housing units, 61% of these units are single family detached. Out of that 152,000 homes, you've got basically 105,000 that were built prior to 1970. Those are the ones that we're targeting, and those are the ones that we're really interacting with a whole lot right now. So the overall goal, bolt them to their foundations and help people stay in their homes in a catastrophic event. All of this data here and the whole presentation will be available to you afterwards as well. So I'm recording everything, so if you guys need to share with other folks, you'll be able to do it. This is PBEM's map of all unreinforced buildings. When you zoom into this, it's kind of fun. I always like this map. We're actually located in that building right there. And that building and that building are right across the street from us. This one is under renovation. So as you walk out, it's the one that they're redoing right on the corner right now. So it's always fun to just kind of look at what's going on. But you can see everything within the city limits here that is unreinforced masonry that in the event of a catastrophic earthquake, you're going to see a lot of those buildings go. And then
what percentage of those are public schools?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but it's a really good question, right?
It's a big number.
But the interesting thing here to look at is as you look at the map, the colored section here, this is all the main kind of liquefaction areas. So, the ground underneath this has a high likelihood of liquefying and causing even more problems in a catastrophic event. So anyways, just good data just to kind of look at here. So what the city wants to do, the overall goal and objective, Portland Bureau of Emergency Management, what do they want to do? They want to keep people in their home if it's safe to do so. And like I said earlier on, we know that if we can't keep people in their home, they will leave. And when you have people leaving, it really slows down the city's recovery. And one thing that was popping in my head as I was working together all these slides is 2 years ago, we went to an event in Detroit, Michigan. And that wasn't a natural disaster in Detroit, but I don't know if anyone's spent any time in Detroit since the economy tanked. But people leaving a city, that's a perfect prime place if you're curious about what would actually happen. Go there and look and see what that city is all about today. And it's a little bit demoralizing when you're walking around that city to see how many people have left and what the state of that city is in. So prescriptive. These are the prescriptive requirements, just kind of laid out, pretty simple and straightforward. All of the work that we're going to be doing on these projects has got to fall into the prescriptive pathway. So engineered paths, FEMA's not going to pay for engineered paths. Okay, so these are your kind of stock projects that are going to fall into the City of Portland's prescriptive requirements. Everyone should be pretty familiar with those at this point in time, but if you're not, here they are in just a quick, short glance. What are we normally looking at? Typical cost, $3,000 to $8,000 in this range for those. Attaching the house to the foundation, shore up post and beam under the house. Cripple wall reinforcements are being done. Just a quick cutaway of a couple of the shots of what you guys normally are doing for these types of projects. All right, so here's where we get into the meat of everything today. Here's what FEMA is requiring us to do for everything here. no new homeowners into this. So if you have homeowners that you're going out and visiting right now, do not sell this to them. Do not tell them that they can get access to 50% payments for their projects. They will not be able to get into this, and you will be stuck with paying 50% of their project costs.
What
Don't do it.
considers new?
So let's say you came out to my house today. I called you and said, I want to have you assess my house. I want to try to have you retrofit my house. Hey, I heard about this this program where I can get 50% payment from FEMA. Can you make that happen for me? And you tell me yes, you can make that happen, and I'm not on that primary list or the wait list. And the only way that you are determining whether you're on primary list or wait list is we are delivering those individuals onto your calendars right now. It's we've worked closely with each and every one of you to get those delivered onto your calendars, and so they show up on your calendars as FEMA customer. You clearly know, so don't sell it to anyone else.
Ryan,
Yeah.
how were they initially contacted, those homeowners?
Yeah, so good question. So out of the 4,000 some people that kind of came in that flood following the New York article and Novik's press event, we sent out a list to all of those folks. We said we're running a lottery to get names pulled in to the mix for our submittal for a FEMA grant. And so all of the people that responded to that came into the main list. And then from there, we had to run through a number of steps. So we first filtered everyone out of that list that fell outside of the city limits. Those people fell out. Notified them with an email. I'm sorry, but you're outside of city limits. You will not qualify for this. Next, we had to look at folks that fell within the 100-year floodplain. Anyone that fell in the 100-year floodplain, sorry, you don't qualify for the dollars. So we have to filter you out. So we went through some steps, and each time we went through that step, notified the homeowners, apologized. Appreciate your interest. We'd love to get you in contact with another contractor to do the work. And so we boiled everything down, and when we boiled it down to the folks that fell in with all the limits, then we ran just a random cycle on those folks, pulled out 150 people for the primary list, pulled out 150 people for a backup list. And those are the ones that basically lotteried into the system.
Okay. Do the backup list people know their backup?
Yes, they clearly know that they're backup.
Okay.
And we'll go into that a little bit more here in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So, again, prescriptive path only for these customers. Voluntary permits must be acquired for all projects. Projects exceeding the benefit cost analysis calculations must be reviewed by FEMA. It's greater than 10% of what was submitted for that particular household. We're going to need to work with you guys on those. I'll pause here and go into a little bit of detail on that really quick. In order to submit for the FEMA dollars, what I had to do was I had to take historical data from our initial 23 homes and take a look at what those project costs were. Figure out what an average project cost was from those 23 homes. Take a look at what Portland Maps says for each and every house that qualified for this. Take a linear foot measurement on those homes and apply some math to what average costs would be for these homes coming into the system. So I took what those average costs were, ran it through that calculation, juiced the number by 6 or 8%, and then I think I added another little sprinkle of something good to make it go up a little bit more to submit for what we needed for our benefit cost analysis calculations for the submittal for FEMA. So those are at best guesses of what the homeowner costs would be for this.
And what does BCA stand for?
Benefit cost analysis. So
It goes beyond 10% over your average that you.
Yeah. So for my average, so what you'll end up doing, don't worry about the details on it yet. Just go out and start. We'll go out and start bidding projects. Stuff will start shaking out of all this, and we're going to have conversations. The bottom line is we're going to have to talk about it at some point. But in order to get the money for us to do any of the work, we had to get something out there. Okay, so that's the story behind this. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it too much right now. Just know that we're going to have to work with state office, with FEMA, and you all as we work through the initial numbers as they come in on things.
Yeah, so I guess my one thing would be just from that experience in the pilot.
Yeah.
People who are in this and who might fall into this category of people who are greater than BCA, just be prepared to let them know the process might take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You know, like I think
Yep.
like you're in this awesome program, but you might have to be patient. You know, like because that if someone's got to go to FEMA for review and then come back to you, and, yeah, that can take a while. So it's
a really good point to when you're, and as we get farther on in the presentation, when you get out to your assessments, when you're interacting with your homeowners for the first time, slow yourself down just a little bit and make sure that you're clearly stating those things that, you know, this is awesome. You're going to potentially have 50% of your project paid for. So, but it may take a little bit longer than we normally take. And that's not our fault. That's just because there's some red tape involved. And, you know, we're trying to make things as efficient as we can. So it's a really good point, Greg. I appreciate it. Change orders, those are going to have to be reviewed. Things happen while you're out, right? So, you come across a rotted mudsill, section of rotted mudsill. You got to cut it out, and you got to replace a section of it. And so, you know, you got to work the change order. Just contact us and work through a normal change order process with us. Photo document during the upgrade work. I'll go through that in more detail. Bottom line is photo document everything. Paid in full invoices must be stamped and signed. I'll show you examples of what those look like. Copies of checks, if you receive checks, we have to get those. Copies of credit card or debit payments, we've got to get copies of those. And approved and signed off permit docs, we've got to get copies of those. And imagine that, more photos. FEMA wants photos of everything, so just be snap happy with your phones, okay? Just do it. So you don't ever have to go back to the house and take pictures. So, to the major list here, to what you guys have been seeing on your calendars, 93 out of the 150 primary folks have already been scheduled to date. So that's not bad. I was hoping that we would have more than that, and it surprises me that people that, you know, lotteried into this are not responding to emails, multiple emails. And so they have until the 31st to respond to those emails. If they do not respond by the 31st, they lose their spot. They are out. And they will.
Are you going to send them a reminder?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we've been sending them reminders every week. And the
We've
folks that we
received it
actually
today.
have phone numbers for, we've been calling
Oh, okay.
as well. And so, out of the initial 150, 11 contacted us and said, "No, we're not moving forward."
Mm.
And the reasons behind them not moving forward is they decided to do the work anyways. So some of them probably have worked with some of you already, and they've just done the work. So once we cross this threshold, then on April 1st, the waitlist folks will be targeted, and we're going to be going after those in small chunks. We're not going to go after the whole list. We'll go after small component parts to build onto that. So you'll see your calendars continue to fill with the remainder folks that are in there. Any more questions? Colleen, those are good ones so far. I like your.
No, on the previous slide, we kind of went from photocopy or photo documentation to stamped and paid invoice, and there's some stuff in there.
Oh, there's a bunch of steps in there, and we'll go through those.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm just trying to capture the really, really important stuff.
Yeah.
So 93 folks have been scheduled. This is just kind of a snapshot of what you're seeing on your calendars right now. You've got an address, you've got a name of the homeowner in here, you've got some of the answers to the questions that we've asked them in that initial process. These are all showing up on your Google calendars. You guys all should be familiar seeing this stuff at this point. So this is the first thing. I'm going to drive it in again. Take photos. Take them of the front of the house. Take them of the sides of the house, the back of the house, the interior of the house, in the basement, in the crawl space. Take gas meter photos. Just take lots of pictures, okay? So here's how you're going to take pictures. This is going to be pretty easy for everyone. For the two, primary seismic contractors in here, Easy and Earthquake Tech, this is going to be new for both of you. So this is a process I'm going to have to walk you both through. You're going to be using our software, our web application tool called Threshold. And so it's really easy to use. I've got logins for both of you. You guys will be able to log in. And this is what it looks like on your phone when you log in. So you're going to log in. This is the customer. That was Jules Bailey that you were just doing there. And so if you've gone around and taken all those photos and you've got them, so this is your login. If you've got them here and you've taken all the photos, you've got your photo library here on your phone. You're just going to click into your photo library and they're going to upload straight into the system. You don't have to email us anything. You don't have to save them on your hard drive. You just take the photos with your phone as you're walking around the house and upload them when you're done. Straightforward enough for everyone? Pretty clear? Okay. So, you've done your walk around, you've taken a bunch of photos, you've done your normal, spiel with a homeowner, you're in the basement, you're looking at things in the house, you're working up everything, you've got an estimate pulled together, you've got a bid pulled together. A lot of you right now are just, leaving the home, emailing that content to the homeowner as an estimate or a bid, usually 2 days following the visit. Some of you are so proficient now that it's happening the same day or the day after. And all we're asking you to do in this process is to CC this email address right here, threshold@inhabit.org. Okay? That will automatically link your bid documents to the account within our web application Threshold. So those bid docs that you emailed to us, we'll extract them out of the email and we will go ahead and load them into the project file. Okay, this is an example of a Neil Kelly bid from the past. Very simple, straightforward. This is just their seismic portion of things. Just gives you an example. You all have your own styles. All of them look about the same in many ways. Once those documents are emailed to us and they're automatically loaded up, they're going to be in Threshold here. So you could download that document once you've emailed it to us if you wanted to go into this web application and do it. You'd have access to do it. It'd be a house for you. So let's say the homeowner gets back to you really quick. Great. Hey, Bob, that was a great bid. I'm down for it. I want to sign it. I'm going to send it back to you tonight. When I get home from work, they send it back to you, Bob. What we're asking you to do once you have a signed copy is do the exact same thing. Okay? Email us that copy. All you need to do is email it to Threshold, and in the subject line, you're going to put either this or you're going to put this, depending on what you're comfortable doing. You can do either one. Doesn't matter. For you, Bob, it's probably just going to be this because you haven't worked with our other web application systems. So just put sign bid dash the customer's address and send it along to us. We'll extract it. We'll extract all the information out of there, and we'll end up loading it up into Threshold again. So in the future state, you're going to be able to load this into Threshold if you want to. What we're trying to create here is a flow that works for you, that's just seamless, that doesn't make you log into anything different to change what you're doing from your normal kind of course of business. If you wanted to load it up, though, in the future, you'd be able to load it up. There's going to be a box off to the side here that gives you, instead of download, it'll give you upload as well. And you'd be able to upload a file into the system here. But for most of you, you're just going to email it because that's what you normally do anyways. Any questions, Colleen, Chris? You guys got any questions?
Oh, we were just talking about Threshold.
Okay. All right, cool. For you all, because you've worked with our other systems, maybe you could speak for just a second as far as ease and flow. Emailing stuff, kind of a normal way to do stuff. Make sense for you guys?
I haven't seen Threshold.
Okay.
Chris has.
Yes. Okay, cool. So for Chris, from your experience, makes sense to you?
Yeah.
And Greg?
Yep.
Yeah, sound all right to you
Yep.
too? Okay. And again, what we're trying to do is just make it easier. So
Yeah,
it's
and
not-
I think we're going to re-show this presentation back at the ranch to Clyde and Bernice and Parker,
Yeah, absolutely.
because of the admin side too.
I hope you do. Please
Yeah.
do.
Okay,
Yeah, and if you want me to answer questions, at any time during that,
great. Maybe
give me
you
a
can listen
buzz.
in.
Yeah. So. Okay, so you've got signed documents. Well, let's say that one of these homeowners needed financing. You can do either cash or financing on these projects. So both Selco and Advantis are the two lenders that we're going to be working with for this, and for Bob and Steve and Taylor. I can go through all those products with you in a little bit more depth, but you'll have access to all of those financing products. So make sure that if the homeowner needs it, we're working with them to get them financing to do the work that they need
And
to do.
we'll want to understand the 50% down piece of that too,
Yeah, absolutely.
since it's a FEMA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just insert
Yeah.
something here? So this will be pretty straightforward when you tell it after you've been out What's easy for us is trying to assess at that first assessment whether they're going to be doing cash or financing. So that way you can let the HPA know via email, hey, I think this person's going to need some updates. So even if you don't remember all the products all the time, just say, yep, I know we're working with Selco and Advantis. One of the Inhabit Home Performance Advisors will be getting back to you. And then you'll email that to the Inhabit Advisor email, and basically they will follow up with the homeowner, figure out what's what, and then get the homeowner in contact with the bank, send them the appropriate links and what have you. So again, it's just trying to keep it really simple for you guys.
And if you could ask, both those lenders are credit unions.
What's that?
They're both credit
Oh.
unions.
And so here's a question for all of you too. I don't know how many of you are asking those pre-screening questions when you're talking to the homeowners before you go out to the house. If that's a question that you ask, 2 days or 3 days prior to going out to the home, when you're doing your phone conversation with them or trying to have that phone conversation with them, is lending something that you're going to need for this project? If the answer is yes, then that's something that, MJ and I would really like to know about, because we can work on improving or developing our systems to make it really easy to get that pre-approval process going that we've talked about in the past, that we have functioning well with some of the lenders right now, but we need to kind of change some of the internal systems to get it. So please, if that's something you're doing, let us know so we can improve.
So is this something strictly to do with FEMA, or can we
All
push
your
this
projects,
to
man.
anybody? Okay.
Anyone you guys are selling to, because you are a value partner with Inhabit, you have access to the financing that's available.
So if we want to pre-qual them, then just contact you, MJ.
Right. Contact the
Or
HPAs because it's
You,
being
the HPA.
right.
Yeah.
For those of you who were in the optics world, because all of this stuff is happening outside of optics and we're trying to migrate away from optics. Right now, we have a manual process by which the HPAs will contact the lender and let them know and shepherd those projects. But the idea in very short order will be to provide a way to do that in Threshold. You guys would click it just like you currently do in optics, and it would send the email directly to the bank, and the bank will then follow up with the homeowner. So
Yeah.
the crawl phase is inserting the HPAs into the process right now, just to make sure that we're not sending stuff to the bank that's not for sure. Because if you think about it, we're talking about at the beginning, you haven't given them a bid necessarily yet. You're having your first conversation with them. They've said cash or they've said, yeah, I think I'm going to need financing. Then they get your bid, and they're like, oh no, I think I can get this covered. Especially with FEMA, with 50% of it being covered, they may not want to go through the hassle of getting a loan. But if they're not in FEMA, or if they are, some of them may need to access that. And so at that point, we'll again need to know from you, have they changed their mind, and just proactively communicate with the HPAs is all I'm saying.
Battery's dying here. I'm going to press advance here.
Were they asked that prior to the lottery?
The financing question? No.
Did they know it was available?
They should have. I mean,
Included it.
typically our marketing tells them
Includes that.
contractors, financing, etc.
Okay.
I don't know if it was necessarily hammered out yet. Because people got on this list a year ago.
But it wouldn't have changed our
August.
financing options coming through Inhabit. Typically, it's something.
I just can't remember from the letter that I saw what was that was in it.
I don't know that it would. I can't tell you whether it was.
I'm really
totally
just
spelled
asking,
out.
are we their first, the first notification of that?
You shouldn't be, but
You never know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's people right now that I've emailed every single week that are like, "Why are you calling? What is that?" So you'd be surprised.
Are the loan product offerings the same as the ones
Yes.
available in the efficiency world? There's no
Yes.
specialized products or anything like that.
You know, other than you can't use a craft 3 for Seismic.
Right.
And Umpqua's been out of the game for a little bit now, so
Yeah.
it's just self-governed units.
Are there minimums with those? I'm not as familiar with the lower value products because usually we're doing projects much bigger than Seismic. So
Uh-huh.
do you know the ranges offhand? With the
Not off the top of my head, but there are minimums for many of the loans. So
Right.
we can go back to my desk after this and take a look at it.
I think there's like 1,000.
Okay.
Okay, all really good questions. And, probably the most confusing part of it, you know, being that we have to insert the lenders into it. So, you know, be patient with it. We'll help you work through, you know, your first customers with it, and it'll all work out. So, the key to it too, though, is you know, once some things have been approved by the lenders, you know, we've designed systems so that you'll be notified, hopefully a little bit quicker than what you had been in the past with optics and whatnot. So, we go from there. I don't know why this is not advancing anymore, but that's all right. This is what the lender would actually see in this process, just a quick glance, so you can kind of see how they're looking at it. So they've got an application. Is it successful or did it fail? They have an approval process. Was it successful or did it fail? And assigning date and time. These notes right here, those notes are going to be what will be the trigger points that will send you all emails that this is what stage that homeowner's in. So you won't be completely in the dark in that way.
Can I just point out that there is no inhabit bump for these?
Yes, that's correct.
Just so everybody is clear moving forward, we're basically doing away with the seismic pump. I think it was like $50.
Yeah, replacing with 20.
Let me pause for a second and just see. Is there any other questions, you know, with the lending process right now? Know that you're going to have to work your way through it with us, and you're going to have to experience it once for it to get comfortable for you. But is there any other questions?
And also, the HPAs are happy to talk to the customers about lending too. If you feel that out of your depth on a particular question, you can send them to us.
And I know that we're going to end up in some of these houses, and someone's going to want us to include an egress window as part of the project, or you know, like add some. Are these?
Yeah, let's pause. Let's talk about that. Yeah. So let's talk about for contractors that do energy efficiency work here, do your energy efficiency work. Okay, do it. Sell those projects along with us. I expect you to. I hope that you do.
And you want it? Is that with one proposal in the Seismic included? Or
you need to separate it. You need to separate the proposals out. And the reason that we have to separate that out is because we have to document it separately. So, you know, build your whole proposals as you normally do, but just have that one section out to the side and just explain it to the homeowner that we have to have this separated in order to handle everything. But I hope that you're selling insulation. I hope that you're selling, you know, HVAC equipment and anything else that you guys can in these homes.
And so the financing could be all together.
Financing could be all together. So when we say that Selco and Advantis are the only ones that are going to handle, they're the only ones that are going to handle seismic only. But if you've got a project that falls into a traditional energy efficiency realm where you've got the split of energy savings correct to non-energy savings, Craft 3 could be the lender on the project as well.
And I assume that we can move forward with the 50% off number in terms of the loan amount for the seismic portion.
Yes.
Like like you're only financing $2,500 worth of a $5,000 seismic project. So you really only need a $10,000 project to do that.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So it's a really good point.
And for those of you who don't use Inhabit's financing very often, for years, we often will just pass it right back to the HPAs and say, have the homeowner talk to them directly about the financing. We, as a contractor, we've kind of been hands off with that, and it just saves a lot of hassle and saves us from getting in trouble by giving incorrect information too.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's a key point. Separate the bids, separate the items if you're selling it. And here's something for Bob and for Taylor and for Steve. Your teams, you guys have been working with us long enough now that you understand what our ethos is. We believe in home performance. We believe in a holistic solution to homes. You guys are a component part to that. You're a key component part to that from the health and safety standpoint. Some of the other contractors that have worked with us longer have been with us working and operating under the same ethos. And so if you're in a basement and you see a crappy old furnace, you know, put a note down into the file. Where you load your photos up, there's a little section that has a note in it. Just say, really crappy, you know, furnace, and send it to us. The HPAs are going to be looking at these files, and they can say, great, I'm going to send that over to Chris, or I'm going to send that over to help, and we're going to pair this up. And if you have a homeowner that's, you know, you feel out and they go, yeah, I really like to do some of this other stuff too. Think about that. This is the cross-pollination of the work that you can help out with, and and help these homeowners do more in their homes. So think about that while you're there. Yeah.
So can we offer these services?
What services?
If we go in and I see that the water heater's crapped out or furnace is crapped out, can we sell that through you guys, or what's up?
Let's take that offline, and
Okay.
I'll talk to you more afterwards about it. Right now, what I would say is let's keep you guys focused on the seismic stuff to get
Sure.
it right, but we can talk about it more.
Okay.
And what our primary focus has always been with our HP guys is that holistic approach.
Okay.
So I'm not opposed to it. Yeah.
I'm just going to insert something that you're probably not going to want to hear for those of you who are the HP contractors. But we are in the process of migrating off of optics, but we're not fully off of optics yet. And right now we have built the whole seismic stuff within our Threshold and Salesforce platform, which is where we're going towards. But please work with the only thing you need to remember is if you do have a Seismic Plus project, those will be the ones that are Seismic Plus energy efficiency or plus something else. Work with your HPAs, because we will take the energy efficiency or the non-seismic piece through optics and take the other one, but they'll help you do that and get it going. So I apologize, but that's
just what you need.
yeah, but we will try and make it as painless as possible, but hopefully by June that will not be an issue anymore as we migrate to that full system, but we're not quite there yet. We're like building and using as we go. So
We promise we won't yell and scream.
No, I mean, I like the comments earlier. I mean, you and Colleen were just talking a little bit about Threshold a little bit earlier, and I mean, you and Greg have both given us positive feedback so far on things, and so we're listening to you all in that, and hopefully responding faster than what has happened in the past with optics. We are in the driver's seat now of being able to make changes quickly and effectively.
but we also want to make sure that we have a good customer service experience for those non-seismic projects, and that hasn't been fully built out yet in our platform.
Okay, so let's keep driving forward here. I knew that we were going to get bogged down in that section for a little while, so it's good. So, voluntary seismic permitting. So, in the list of everything that we need to do, permits is required for this. 2 of the 6 of you are approved contractors in the FER program. Okay, so Steve, you, and Neil Kelly are FER approved contractors. If you are not a FER approved contractor, you're going to want to probably contact the city and get yourself approved as a FER approved contractor. Okay? Just go to BDS, type in, those words right there. You'll get the PDF with regards to what you need to do for this. There is a cost. There's a fee. Steve, do you remember off the top of your head what your initial fee was getting into the
To
program?
get into the program, minimal.
Yeah.
It was minimal, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. My guess is it's probably
like totally worth it for sure. I mean, call up and ask for an inspection the next day. It's unreal. Yeah.
it's something that I've been working with Portland Bureau of Emergency Management to try to find a way to expedite permitting for everyone, even FER folks. But I was pushing hard to find a solution for non-FER contractors right now because I really didn't want folks to have to incur additional costs. But my response from BDS and from PBEM was, yeah, probably gonna want to have them be FER contractors. And so, my work on that is not looking great as far as getting an easy solution for that, but it really isn't that complicated. I actually have the copies of the PDF documents. I can give you them before you leave.
I
If
think
you'd like.
it's basically, who's on the list first.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Is that an annual renewal program, or is that
No,
one
no.
time
Once
only?
you're on, you're on. Yeah.
And so then you're basically paying an hourly rate for folks
Yeah.
to review your documents. Okay, and so
But it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
So Bob, when we're done here, remind me I'll make a copy. I have
Yeah.
hard copies of stuff
do,
right here.
thanks.
So, and Colleen, if you want a
Great.
copy of that stuff, I'll get it to you. Craigie as well. All right, so upgrade work, retrofit the home, do what you do best. If there's a change order, contact an HPA immediately. photo document your retrofit work while it's taking place. If there's a way to get your field staff to just take their phone out while they're doing some work and take a picture of one another and load it into the system, I'd really appreciate it. Because what ends up happening at the end of these efforts is that Portland Bureau of Emergency Management goes, hey, do you have any really good pictures of the work getting done? And we don't have any pictures of work actually getting done because we're not out in the field with you guys getting work, doing the work. So if you can just condition yourself and your teams to just over document via photos in this, it's going to help us hopefully grab hold of more money down the road to keep doing this type of work. And then make sure that you're acquiring and taking care of all of your permit documents. So get that stuff closed out at the end of your project.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you need those permit docs in a PDF or is just a JPEG good? Or?
I'll take it any way you give it to me.
Okay.
So if you're there and you've got a picture of them and they're closed out and there's signatures on them, I'll take it. If you can send them to me in a PDF and sum it up, I'll take it. If by chance you forget to get them, I'll wait for them because in my quarterly reporting, I have to submit that stuff and I'll just go pull it down from Portland Maps. But I'd really appreciate if you guys can get it to me as you're closing your projects out, because that way it takes care of. MJ's going to be taking on all of the operational responsibilities. If we can have these things as nice, clean packages when you walk away from them, we don't have to come back to you. You're paid. Everything's clean. Happy homeowners. And FEMA's happy when we submit on a quarterly basis. Just makes everyone's life easier.
Stamp you're talking about is
I'll show
from
it
the
to you.
city?
No, I'll show it to you in a minute. So completed project documents. So what you're most interested in collecting here is your payment, right? So you've sent an invoice to the homeowner, or you've hand delivered the invoice to the homeowner, and it clearly defines here's the 50% that you're responsible for paying me for. Here's the 50% that FEMA's going to pay me for, and so you're going to collect your check on your 50%. Make sure that you have a solid copy of this. Never hurts to have the homeowner actually sign it. Work with your bookkeepers, make them happy about what you've got there for that information. If you collect checks from that, we need copies of the check. We've got to keep them on record for up to 5 years, I think is what FEMA wants us doing.
Checks and credit card receipts.
Checks and credit card receipts.
Okay.
So we need to have those documents with these files.
And is a digital credit card receipt acceptable?
Yeah, like I said, I don't care. Take a picture of it. Just get it to me and make sure that I know it's attached to that particular customer. So, do you have anything else that you would want to say?
No.
Just from accounting's perspective? Just from experience, I need a copy that links to the invoice. Make it work. Make it show that it's for that particular project. If you had lending on the project, the lenders are going to ACH those funds directly into your accounts. So we're still working with the lenders to figure out exactly what we're going to collect from them, showing that they've actually ACH stuff into your accounts. So you don't have to worry about providing that stuff to us. We're working with the lenders to get that worked out still. And then, hey, imagine that, some more photos. So yeah, hopefully you're taking photos at the end of your retrofit stage, so you're not having to have whoever's coming out to collect money go do that. You don't want to waste their time doing that. Just have the person that's collecting your invoice and payments getting your money. Have your crews do this when they're done.
Do you have
And-
a sample of
Yeah,
a
I'll show you in a second.
post job photos?
Yep.
Okay.
Here's a sample of an invoice from Neil Kelly from last time. So total amount. What's not on here right now, and I'll mock up something and show you exactly what I want, and I'll attach it to this when I send out this whole video, and I'll just insert it into. I'll cut the video and insert it into a spot there. But what we're going to want to see is a portion here that clearly states that cash payment 50% from homeowner, 50% from FEMA, and then I'm going to provide you with a stamp. I'm not sure how I've decided I want to do this. I may send it to you as a PDF stamp that you can use. I may just go to Kinko's and grab stamps and give you guys a stamp so that you guys can just stamp the documents and make sure that you have a signature on them. And if you've got a check number, put the check number down on them. So I'll decide what I want to do with that, and I'll get you what you need to do with it. But that's what we need on the final invoice, is a stamp that, you know, certifies that it's complete, has your project lead signature on it, and then MJ and I are on the hook for it as well. We have to sign off on all these as well, and so we'll work out the details on what that was. What I did in the past on the first ones was, when I collected all this stuff from you, I just had those in PDF formats, so I just created this PDF stamp and did it. But that was a back and forth email exchange. I don't want that to happen again. I want to work with you all and figure out what's going to be the easiest to do. And so I'll probably just phone all of you guys and work out what the systems are going to work well for each one of you, because some of you use QuickBooks, some of you don't, some of you do, you know, an Excel document. So we just need to work out individually with you what's going to work best. There's only 6 of you. I'll standardize the process once I understand what we've got. Check copies. Payment process for you. This is what the final stage for you. And if I've misrepresented any of this, you can set me straight.
On
Yeah.
the check, do you want them to black out?
Don't black out anything on the check. Just scan us the full check. We'll black out stuff and make sure that the PII stuff is taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. We'll make sure that when we house that in our database, it's all private stuff.
And is that something you want us to email those, or can we upload that to the platform somehow?
We can talk about it. Whatever works best for you. I mean, the solution that I want to find is what causes you the least amount of pain is what I want to do. So if it's an email for Bob, then Bob, I've got a solution for you to email. If you want to upload it in a threshold, I'm going to have a solution for you to do that.
Yeah, maybe
So,
take a picture of it with our phone and,
Yeah.
and
And
as a
just
photo.
upload
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
yes.
Cool.
So again, this is where, like, please tell us what works best for you. I want it to be easy. I just want it to move fluidly, and we get what we need. You guys execute on the work for the homeowner and keep the homeowners happy, and get the documents turned in, and everything will be really smooth. We'll issue payments, the 50% portion of payments, on receipt of all the documents that we've just gone over. And if you think about it, these documents have grown throughout the whole process. You've given us the bid, you've given us the signed bid, you've given us photos throughout the process, and then at the end you've uploaded, your invoice with a stamp on it, and final pictures at that point, and any payment stuff. So really, it's just moving along the way that you normally do your work.
And what about an inspection? Like, you need anything from a city inspection?
So that's what we were just talking about a second ago, where Bob was saying, hey, do you want that in a PDF form, or do you want a photo? So same thing with that.
Okay.
If you
But that is one of those final dots. You need that for us to
I
get
want,
paid.
I
You
want that. Yes. Yeah.
And so we got to schedule that inspection and get it done.
Will this 50% payment from Inhabit covering the FEMA portion be an ACH as well?
It will. So here, the last bullet point here, payment process will be handled via standard activity summary process. So what that means, for anyone that doesn't know, is on Monday, today is Jessica's favorite day of the week, where she works on activity summaries. Those activity summaries go out to you all, show what we owe you for, what you owe us for. You can review all of those. If there's any issues with cash flow or anything like that, you contact Jessica. If there's not, on Friday is when you process the payments.
Thursday, but it happens
Yeah,
on Friday.
it happens on Friday. She queues up everything on Thursday. Friday, your accounts are actually ACH'd, and so you would receive that payment for that project on that Friday if you finish it the week prior. And all the documents look good. HPAs will be reviewing all the documents and just contacting you, but hopefully you get it all right. Any questions with payment? Okay, that's the gist of really everything that we need to for the requirements. There's one last thing that Tim Miller wanted me to talk to you all about, and that's to advocate for more money. So right now there are 2 community meetings or community events scheduled for April 5th and April 12th. And these meetings are to kind of push for what PBEM has set aside. PBEM set aside in their budget an additional $500,000 for more seismic work to be done. I would love to see every single one of you have somebody from your company show up to these events and get your voice on record That is what is going to make an impact on the decision makers on whether or not those dollars are released. If those dollars release, we're going to have another flood of folks that are going to be able to access, additional funds to help do the work. Now, these additional funds, my bet is people would say 25% of
Not
project
50.
costs, not 50.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is they're trying to, and Commissioner Novick is trying to drive deeper and deeper into that 105,000 homes. How can we keep getting people to take action? And so that's what this dollar amount is all about. I'm going to put together an email that gives you talking points for this. And I'll send this out separately so that if you guys can attend this, you have your script. But you guys could go and advocate for this, talk about, how it's helping continue to drive your business. It's keeping people employed. You'll see the talking points, but
Do you know the time?
What's that?
Do you know the times of those meetings?
I do, and I'll send that out in a follow-up email to you guys. I believe they're evening meetings, but I'll send that out to you. Photos. You wanted ideas of photos?
Yeah.
Colleen?
Just for the team.
Yeah. So I don't have the pictures right here, but we can just talk about what you should be doing. You walk up to the house, take a picture of the front of the house. If gas is primary for the house, take a picture of the gas meter. Take a picture of the sides of the house. Take a picture of the back of the house. Those are the exterior photos that we need. Take multiples of them if you want. If you can't get good angles on things.
I just want them to be consistent.
Yeah.
Once we
Yep.
kind of get them
Yeah.
format.
So, and then for the basement ones, it's pretty easy as well. Take a picture of, if you're exposed basement, take a picture of rim joists in multiple spots, multiple locations. Ideally, it would be smart to take a picture of electric panel if it's there, just so that you can kind of see those things and where it's coming in, gas lines, where they're coming in, all of those types of things that can just help, help the HPAs answer questions, help FEMA if they've got questions. If you're in the crawl space, same thing. Just take as many pictures as you can while you're down there. Take pictures of the rim joists so that we can see what's going on in that space, so we can see where universal foundation plates are going to go and what's going to happen. So let's talk about interior and exterior for a second, because a lot of these projects can be handled both inside and outside. Okay? FEMA freaks out because anything that has federal dollars attached to it has to go through historical preservation approvals. Okay, so while a home that was built in 1968 may not fall into what you would think is historic preservation, it still falls into the categories of needing to go through approvals for historic pres and their review. So the bottom line in the way that we handle this, don't do any work on the exterior of the homes on the front side of the houses. Okay? So that doesn't mean that you can't do exterior work and access homes from the outside, because I know that you're going to go into homes and basements are going to be finished.
All finished, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, the one that we used for the latest press event just a few weeks ago, the basement was finished. So, the problem with that one is asbestos siding on the outside. So, it's driving you one direction or the other here. But you can do the work on the outside. You guys are very proficient about doing exterior work as well. You just want to be cognizant of making sure that all siding's going back exactly as it came off, and do not do anything on the front of the house. You clear on that?
Yeah, we just did one in Irvington.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
But use the tools in your toolkit to solve the problems for the homeowner. But just keep that in mind, because when we're attached to these dollars, it's not going to fly.
Yeah, and can you go over real quick? If we do have a 1960, this happened to us in Alex, a 1960s house.
Yep.
And we were supposed to go through a historical review. What's the process for that?
Don't go through historical review.
So basically, just come up with a work scope that follows the guidelines you just laid out, and then we don't have to go through historical review.
You got it. Don't do anything on the front of the house, and we're going to be happy.
Okay, cool.
We're going to be just fine.
And the city will accept that with a permit if we can't do it inside.
Yep. Yeah. Does Bob or Taylor and Steve, you guys want to talk about just your exterior applications just a little bit? You know, I mean, any problems you guys have ever run into?
Path of least resistance is, you know, how you want to roll. When you roll up to a place, we're checking out the siding as we go in and looking at what the foundation might be made of, other than a nice skin coat. Go down inside, check it out. If it's finished, how attached are they to it being finished? And you know, if they're not, then that's usually the route we'll take. If they're attached to it, we're going to go outside. We're going to have to look at those things. If it's got asbestos in it, it's an issue.
Mhm.
If it's got lead in it, it's an issue, but we can deal with it much easier. You know, just using safe lead practices. So,
Okay.
Anything?
Epoxy.
Epoxy, well, yeah. I mean, for us, it's always what we do just to guarantee a sealed installation.
That's all that I had. Yeah, that's all that I had. That's it for the content for what we need to get going next week on things. So these assessments start on Monday of next week. Is that right? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead, you know, following the call or the meeting today, I'll go ahead and publish this out probably tonight for you guys so that you can distribute this to internal staff. Make sure you have plenty of time to ask questions this week, and we can address any other concerns, questions, things that come up, and go from there. And then,
What's the protocol for homes with foundations that are not good candidates? If they've deteriorated
Yeah.
too far? Or...
So for those ones, hey, give them bids, do the work,
Right.
sell the job.
So I was
Just tell them that, you know, I'm sorry they don't you're not going to qualify for the program. And
So,
when you run up against that and they are down and they're feeling bad, we'll help talk to them, okay, and we'll help ease them down off of that.
so
But
are you talking about the FEMA project's not going to give up, like, you know, $40,000 to replace their foundation? No.
not a single one.
no. So if
The
you have
answer-
a non,
The answer is no from
Different
every
path.
angle that you come at. No.
But
no,
can we
no.
help them get financed?
Hey, take them through
Yes.
as a normal project with us.
Okay.
You can get them
There you
financing,
go.
sell them.
That's
You're
right.
at the house. Sell the job. Make some money.
Yep.
Do what you do best. You know, help your company grow. You know, do what you do, and we'll help you do what you do, and we'll help those homeowners. You know, understand why if they are struggling with it, and we'll just point to the standards. But sell them on the project. Make sure that you sell them on the project.
so sorry, I just want to add to that. So if it's a non-prescriptive path, just to be clear, make sure we know. So if you go, let us know, and then let us know if you had that conversation with the homeowner at the time, and then you would just keep going as if it was a non-FEMA project, just as you currently do right now. But we need to know, so because we would need to backfill that spot. So again, over communicate.
Yeah, so there's two ways to over communicate there. As you get trained on Threshold, where you upload your photos, right to the left of that is a notes section. That would be a great place to put your note for that. Okay, that the foundation is just not prime. We're not going to be able to take this through prescriptive pathway. The other way to do it is you all have great relationships with Danny right now, Danny Kelly. You have great relationships with Cameron. You have good relationships with Irie. All of the HPAs that you have worked with, Jason, if Jason's been on your project, I'm not sure you have, Jason. But you have relationships with all of the HPAs. Call them, send them a text, whatever works, develop your relationship to an even higher level with those folks and just over communicate, like I'm just saying. But you can put the notes in there. Danny, you're going to be pipeline managing these.
Yep. I was just going to say that. So Danny and Cameron will be the prime champions of this work from an HPA perspective. And so if you can funnel your communication to them, that would be great. And then the pipeline management work that Ryan has been doing with some of you guys will be transitioning to Danny and Cameron. Danny mainly more on the sales end, making sure things get sold, and then Cameron on the making sure that he's shepherding all the documents, and if there's stuff that's missing, working with you guys. But either one of them can help out with those things.
More questions?
Can
We've got some online ones too.
Okay, cool, great.
back to the issue of a finished basement ceiling
Yeah.
and or walls, can the bid include repair of that?
Yeah, so the problem that could potentially arise with that is if costs go up way too high out of the BCA calculation,
Yeah.
then we're going to have to say, hey, we may have to do some of this in, some of this out. We may have to get creative with that. So that's, absolutely. If the path of least resistance and the easiest way to get to it, it's just drywall.
Yeah.
It's just drywall. Go for it however you guys see fit. And that's where, we look at you as the experts. You do what you do best. Online questions?
One related to lending is the seismic work considered energy efficiency for lending purposes?
No, it's not.
I wrote fairly sure it's not.
Yeah.
It falls in the non-energy category, and then
But that's Advanis and Selco basically is like an energy efficiency thing.
yeah,
Yes.
But not for craft.
yeah,
Not for Craft 3, that's correct.
yeah. Craft 3 is really the wild card. Or if people are trying to do energy work, that's going to be a tight fit. Is labor reporting required for the FEMA projects?
I'll let operations
Yes,
talk about that. So
it is.
So, okay. And then if somebody sells a job next week, when can they start working?
we're a go. What I'm going to say about that is my guess is that all of you guys are backlogged just a little bit right now with the activities that you've got going on. So let me back up a step. Knowing that we had this many homeowners coming into the mix, we pushed incredibly hard to get everyone scheduled for you so that you would have the time necessary to get out, do your assessments, and then start converting on the work, then doing the work. And we wanted to do that in order to give us a long enough runway to start tackling these projects and be able to execute on as many of them as we could in this particular year. So we have a document that still needs to be signed with PBEM. Their operations manager is out until next week. So that document probably won't be signed until the end of next week. So don't start the work next week.
Okay.
Let's push it until.
Can we just say do not start the work until we have sent out the universal email that says you may start work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry because the last go around we had problems with that, and then there were projects that were like signed, sealed, delivered, done before things were paid, and it got us in some hot water. So.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why those contract docs won't be signed pretty quickly. But that being said, I've seen contract docs take a really long time for some things, to get out of our door. So
We will not purposely hold up anything. We will try and execute as quickly as possible so that you guys can get to these jobs, get them sold and paid.
more questions online?
That's it.
That's it. Holly?
I just want to confirm that we're not doing any analysis beyond prescriptive. We're not providing any. And we're also not doing any reporting other than, labor reporting and our normal stuff. We're not providing any other.
You're not providing a 100-point performance report. You're not providing any energy
reporting
reports.
to FEMA,
We take care of the reporting.
Summary
So if
information.
you take care of everything that you're doing that we've covered here,
Okay.
we're responsible for all the quarterly reporting.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking as kindly as I can to, develop good systems with this, build them into your process, make them work with your normal flow of work, kind of just adopt that as what you're doing, and we'll have everything that we need to report to FEMA. We report to them on a quarterly basis, just from a transparency standpoint. We report to them on a quarterly basis. And so, everything that you are summing up, all the photos that you are taking, they will all be accessible to FEMA. So they will you guys will have access to them because everything that
can
you're.
we see the quarterly?
Oh yeah, sure. We'll show you quarterly reports. That's no problem at all. But all of the documents that you're putting into Threshold and everything that's being housed there, PBEM and FEMA will have access to that database. So they'll have access to those customer records, those invoices, all those things will be available to them.
There's a lot of moving parts. So
Yeah.
if we have forgotten something somewhere, or you're missing something, or you need more hand holding on something, let us know, because we're always constantly improving the process as we go to try and make it easier for you guys too. So let us know. I do want to wrap back up on the 100 point. The exception to that is if you do a Seismic Plus. If you're doing an energy efficient job, then you would be doing 100 point. And we'll leave that up to you guys if you want to, if you want to do that at the assessment.
Yeah, calling me. I mean, you're clear. We've got a process with you
Oh,
guys
right.
on those
Yes.
things, so
Yeah.
you're clear on what's going on. I
Yeah.
can chat with you guys more about that. So, because we're just getting things fired up with you again, so I'll make sure that we spend some extra time as we kind of work everything back out.
Okay.
Fire things back up.
Do you have a hard number for that, for the threshold that would require review by FEMA?
I don't, but I can chat with you. I know where those dollar figures are on each and every project, and so I can chat with you guys about those.
Okay.
So I won't get into it today, but I
Alright.
can work with you guys as we start moving through.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking if we're out there next week and
Yep.
we're trying to get something signed, but basically that review, it's not. I mean, as long as we're being reasonable,
Yeah.
they're not gonna hold it. They're just gonna look at it and be like, oh, okay, I see why you're doing this.
Yep.
Right. I mean, like would be
Yeah.
what
Exactly.
I would expect. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if things are way out of line, they're gonna go, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Yeah.
And that's what we want to try to avoid. We want to try to have everything just kind of flow as normal as possible. So
Is there any more press planned?
right now, I don't believe there is, but I think that as we start executing on some of these projects, I know that marketing is going to want to drive some more demand for leads, and so I
Well,
could
we'd like to
see.
showcase it on, our web as
Yeah.
well. And I need to talk to someone about, are there any restrictions?
Yeah.
About that. But I'll do that.
As far as like mentioning FEMA jobs,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, if there's anything that we should
we
sort
can
of
find
lay
that
off.
out. We can find
We
out.
do want to,
Yeah.
kind of showcase this.
Yeah.
It's a grand project.
Yeah, I don't see a big issue with it. What I just want to make sure is going back to the point of there are no new customers.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
that's the thing that I'm fearful of. is-
Yeah, it is going to be more
because
of a
I'm going to
historical.
flat out say this is being recorded right now.
Yeah.
We will not pay and cover a mistake that you all make for that. We will not cover one. We did it in the last FEMA round, and it cost us a lot of money. And I mean, I'm making sure that I make this statement on the record. We will not cover that mistake. Do not sell this to a person that is not on this list. Okay, and that's me just being a hard line on that because we don't have the money to cover it. We don't.
Okay. No,
So,
we'll take that back and make sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to be firm on that, but I sent out an email about that early on, and Jason has asked me to make sure that I drive that point home. We just cannot cover those mistakes. We're here to support and help and do everything that we can, but those ones we can't afford.
Yeah, I would say that you can always call, even if you're in the house and you're like, I'm not sure. I've had people will call us, they'll step outside and call us and say, hey, I want to make sure on this. Or the homeowner's asking a question that isn't even covered today, like some kind of loophole or something. Just call us
Pick
and
up the phone and call.
we'll
Yeah.
give you guys clarity. Just so you're not out. We always have a lifeline to ask us questions. Just don't. I wouldn't make things up.
Yeah, don't.
That's what gets us into trouble. And these should have a high conversion rate. So there's no need to try to pack in a bunch of extra stuff in there. And but we'll always help you.
Yeah, that's a great point. Are there any more questions online?
That's it. No.
All right, we went a little longer than I wanted to, but thank you all for your time, and look forward to working with you on everything and answering more questions. So thanks.